What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at the all new 2023 Dodge Hornet. This particular one is the GT Plus all-wheel drive, finished off in hot tamale, and the MSRP is about $39,800. Big shout out and thank you to Feeney Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for providing this new Hornet for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below. Underneath the hood of the all-new 2023 Dodge Hornet GT, you're going to find the 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged motor. It's pumping out 268 horsepower with 295 pound-feet of torque. It's also paired to the 9-speed automatic transmission, of course sending the power to the all-wheel drive system. It can do 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds, and then with a curb weight around 3,700 pounds, running on a 13.5 gallon fuel tank, you're looking at 21 miles per gallon in the city with 29 out on the highway. Overall length is 178 inches with the wheelbase at 103.8. Width is 82 inches with height at 63.8. And then overall max towing capacity is 2,000 pounds and payload capacity is 1,200 pounds. And then now moving on to the exterior styling with this all new Dodge Hornet. Has a pretty sporty look up in front, and you're going to take a look at these pretty cool looking LED headlights. I like how they have a blacked out housing contrasting very well to the red paint. And then we get a gloss black design for this upper grille with that cool Dodge stripe logo. You can see a radiator behind it, and then a massive vent underneath it throughout the center part of the bumper. We also get more gloss black mesh down below with the safety sensor. Then you can see a nice body color design for that front splitter. There's a trim piece on the farthest side to give it a more aggressive look, and overall the front end comes together very nicely. Certainly has that Mopar design. If we move to the hood, you get these really cool looking heat extraction vent trim pieces, along with a lot of body contours around them to give it an aggressive look, and that sharp line cuts all the way towards the windshield. Moving to the side profile, we get that Hornet badge on the front fender, another sharp body line around the front fender, and then moving to these gloss black wheels. You get that Dodge logo right in the center. They're wrapped in a nice Goodyear tire, and they are 18-inch in diameter. You can also see a sharp body line throughout the side profile that blends its way to the rear fender, and then you get plastic black for the lower side skirt. This car also gets body color door handles and gloss black mirror caps with an LED turn signal along the side, and then all gloss black trim surrounding the windows. You can see a panoramic roof up top with a shark fin antenna. And then if we move to the side profile, this has a lot of really cool curves to it. It kind of has a little bit of a Porsche design in back, just giving you that type of look. I think it has pretty good proportions all around, and the lines flow together really well. If we make our way in back, you can see some gloss black trim surrounding the rear window. We have an integrated spoiler up top with your third brake light, windshield wiper down below that, and then I love this giant LED bar. Kind of looks once again like a Porsche Cayenne back here. You can see the blacked out design for the taillights, get your black GT badge on the right, a Dodge logo right in the center of that LED bar, and Hornet on the left. Really smooth body lines in back with your backup camera down below, and then plastic black for the lower portion of the bumper. You have parking sensors back here along with reflectors, and it seems like the rear end comes together to give it a more upscale performance looking design. Moving to the key fob now, we have your lock, unlock, lift gate along with a remote start button, then it says Dodge on the backside. This does have power folding side mirrors and the button on the door handle to lock and unlock it. The interior on this one has a nice black leatherette material. You're going to see some white stitching along it and then a little bit of red stitching as well. The door panel is finished off in black. You get that smooth leather material along with some good padding for the armrest with red stitching, nice grab handle, all of your window controls, mirror controls, and a Harman Kardon audio system. Get some plastic trim surrounding the release handle, lock, unlock, and even memory seating. There's also quite a lot of storage down below. Moving inside, we have 8-way power adjusting seats for both driver and passenger. You have all those controls down below, and then this smooth material all throughout the seats. You get nice perforated leather throughout the centers with nice stitching, all finished off in that white color, and then it makes its way all the way up the backrest with that Dodge logo on the headrest itself. Spinning around, we have a flat bottom design for the steering wheel with some silver trim. And then now inside the Dodge Hornet, keeping my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. All the screens turn on, and you get a super loud interior chime. Taking a look at this LCD gauge cluster, we have the speedometer on the left, digital speed readout in the center, as well as a tach on the right side. You can also configure the screen using the controls on the right side of the steering wheel. We have the roller dial along with that pages icon. So if I go ahead and tap this icon, it'll scroll from the left screen to the right screen. In here you can scroll once and just see some information for audio. Then if I go back into the main screen now, you can scroll up and down, see a full screen navigation system that'll pop up. We also get performance indicator, and then you can also see driver's assistance and then any messages within the car. Taking a look at the steering wheel now, you can also see your volume control on the right with some Bluetooth. Then we have all the cruise control settings on the left with your forward pacing, of course the speed, and then a sport mode icon. When you tap this, the screen changes as well, which is a pretty cool design. You get a much larger speedometer, and it just adds a little bit of red accents to everything. Really cool looking steering wheel with some cool contours to it. On the left side, we have your turn signal stock, and then on the right side, we have all the windshield wiper controls. Now you can also see your headlight controls on the left side of the steering wheel. More of this vinyl material with contrast stitching. Pretty neat design for your air vents, and then some black trim for the plastic dashboard. You get some cool contours throughout the dash as well with more of this vinyl and stitching. And then if we move to the center infotainment screen, right now we're in our climate control settings. You can see all the information, heated and ventilated seating along with the heated steering wheel, your different zones and air conditioning. You can easily adjust temperature, fan speed down below that. And then if we take a look and tap the home icon, you have a lot of things you're able to configure. You can add different screens. We have media that's going to come up as well for radio, back to that one, and then the navigation system. We have all your phone integration. And then if you tap vehicle now, you can see your rear view camera that'll pop up. Pretty HD design, along with parking sensors on the left side. And we can exit out of there. We can go into the performance icon right here. You can see your turbo PSI, your torque. You can also see a few things for history and then accessory gauges as well. Going into trip information, we have My Car, which doesn't have anything in it at the moment. And then under settings, there's all sorts of different things you're able to adjust. And there's also shortcuts up on top. You have this icon right here. You can go into all your different favorites and then of course easily toggle your different climate settings. Underneath the screen, you're going to see your climate control air vents and then all the climate controls themselves. You have these nice toggles right here for your temperature. We have auto, more controls, fan speed and zone. And then down below we get a wireless phone charging pad with different auxiliaries, engine start stop feature, and then a nice leather shift boot for the shifter. We have an electronic park and brake, your volume and scroller, and then down below we have traction control along with parking sensors. You have a pretty nice center console with some silver trim, 2 cup holders, more of that vinyl material and red stitching, and then just a little bit of storage space right in the center. Glove box on the far right side, pretty large area as you would expect. And then one last look at the interior. Pretty sporty in here, especially being the GT. Has a pretty cool look overall. And then you can see the large sunroof up on top with dome lights and all the controls and a small frameless mirror. Moving on to the rear seat space, if I grab the door handle and open it up, you have a pretty large opening into the door, and it's kind of unique how this part of the door comes with it. So definitely shaped a little bit differently. Door panels finished off in black just like we saw up front. You got the same materials and everything, and then the same design in back with the perforated leather and all that white stitching. This can seat 3 people, and the center seat you can even pull down. You get some extra storage space in here along with cup holders, and then I like how you can pull this down, gaining access into that cargo area. We do have climate vents back here that you can adjust a little bit, and there's also plugs, and then a little bit of storage behind all the seats. Now in the upper portion of these seats, you can just grab this handle, pull this down. They're going to fold nearly flat just to get out of the way and really maximize cargo area and give you a pretty good opening into that cargo space. All right, so now sitting in the back of the Dodge Hornet. For being kind of a smaller crossover, this is actually pretty roomy back here. I'm 5'11". I have about maybe 2 inches of headroom, and with the driver's seat at my height, I have enough legroom to be pretty comfortable. Now you can tell this line right here is a little high, so the window is on the smaller side. However, it still feels pretty roomy back here. You can tell though there's no glass or anything back on here, so not the most open interior, but the seats are at a pretty good recline. Of course, good armrest on the right and left side, and those vents are pretty nice to see as well. And then there's the LED lights up on top. So for a small crossover, actually pretty roomy. And then now moving on to the cargo area, I can just grab the button underneath it. It's gonna automatically lift open, and we have a pretty good amount of storage space in here. Once again, it's a smaller crossover. However, it's pretty nice and squared off. You can even grab the base, and we have a lot of hidden space down here. You have a dome light on the far right side. You can see that opening through the seats, and then there's also a 12 volt on the left. Now this privacy cover is removable. You can just unpop these and then pull this entire piece back and it will slide out of the way. And then with the seats folded down, you can see just how much more interior space you're gonna get in the Dodge Hornet. And then coming to the side, you can see how everything folded nicely, still plenty of space up in front, which makes this a pretty practical small size crossover. All right, so we are setting off now in the Dodge Hornet. Just giving it a little bit of gas. So getting up to speed, it's a pretty peppy feeling car. Obviously it's got pretty good power with the all-wheel drive and that 9-speed as well. Some normal driving, visibility is pretty good. You can see out of the windshield really well. Mirrors all do a pretty good job, same with the rear view. And when you look over your right and left shoulder, I'd say the C-pillar area is the only part where it's a little bit, kind of blocking some visibility back there. But overall, pretty easy to see out of. You feel high up enough for a crossover, so it doesn't feel like a confined, cramped car at all. So it definitely feels pretty roomy. And then with all the different power controls and everything on the seats, honestly, it's pretty easy to get it into a comfortable spot, move that steering wheel where you'd like it as well. So overall, I don't know, it feels pretty comfortable just to kind of cruise in here, drive like normal. I like how the center screen, there's enough information on here to be pretty normal. It's not crazy with like a million different screens like normal. So you have kind of your basics, so it's easy to see everything, and all the screen in the center here works really well as well. So it's simple in here, but still nice, and actually feels like a pretty, kind of a more premium little crossover. I don't think it's just another generic crossover like so many are today, which is a pretty neat touch to see. Now if we play with some of the performance, actually let's go back to that performance screen right there. So going into sport mode just gives the car a little bit more of a performance touch. I wouldn't say it's a crazy drastic difference or anything. You got that G meter right in the center, which is kind of cool to see. But you got your boost gauge and everything. Given half throttle, it's got some power, so it's pretty cool to accelerate. Normal driving, it does seem to rev the engine pretty high. Just, quarter throttling it, it'll hit pretty much redline, but it doesn't feel like it's stressing at all. So it seems like kind of a fun little darty car. Kind of reminds you of the Dodge Dart, how you can just like dart around in it. Of course, they're using the Hornet name from years back. But let's do another acceleration real quick in the POV. Brakes seem to do a pretty good job bringing us down to a slow speed. And if I put us into manual, honestly, nice and peppy, really gets up to speed quickly. So not a bad little car, honestly. It kind of just drives pretty normal. It's roomy and comfortable. The seats are nice and padded. And the materials you touch, it feels like actually a nice car. So seems like a pretty good average price crossover with, I'd say, pretty nice, slightly above average crossover aspects. It feels sporty, feels fun, great tech, it's simple and easy. And you got pretty good storage and just usability to use this as your daily. Obviously anyone buying this is gonna be their daily, rack up some miles on. You're gonna get good gas mileage, it's easy to drive, you got enough power to get onto the highway, merge, and not have to worry about it. And it seems like kind of a fun take on kind of a more sporty design for a cool crossover. All right, so we are turning around to my perspective. Getting up to some speed now. It's a peppy little car. It's kind of nice to be in a more generic size crossover that actually has some power to it. Most crossovers like this are going to have maybe 200 horsepower. So the fact that this is packing closer to 300 horsepower and torque, you know that Dodge is putting some fun factor into this car. And if I just tone a car back down, take it out of sport mode, the car, like I said, the modes don't do a crazy amount for it, but you can tell the car is pretty normal to drive, pretty easy and really familiar. I wouldn't say anything jumps out at me as something I don't like. These warning chimes though, especially, like when you first start up, it's very noisy. It's a high-pitched sound. If you take your seatbelt off at all in a parking lot, it is really, really loud. So the high-pitched noises are a little on the annoying side, I would say. Aside from that though, it seems like a pretty good to drive car. And I like how the infotainment is simple and easy and looks good. Same with that gauge cluster. I feel like in the past, the Chrysler products, there's almost too many menus. There's 9 pages for the most part. This, there's really like 7 or 8 different actual pages. So it makes it a little bit more easy to work with. And I don't know, it just feels kind of nice. The suspension, I'd say maybe a little bit on the stiffer side. Like I said, this has kind of that sporty vibe to it. And once we get back up to speed a little bit, you can tell the suspension, I guess you can feel it's a little sporty, I would say. So it's a little on the stiffer side to where it's not gliding over bumps. You feel it. It does transfer to a more darty drive to where, you know, you could take some turns with it, play with the car, have more of a sporty feeling to this vehicle than, I'd say, more of a luxury feeling. The road noise and stuff, we're on kind of a bad road right now that's graded a little bit. You can hear some noise around the car. I wouldn't say there's any wind noise at all, just a little bit of like tire wheel noise, stuff like that. So it's decently insulated, and for the price and for what it is, this isn't ridiculously expensive. It's kind of more average price point, just under 40 grand. I believe the average price of a new car today is a little over $40,000. So pretty average as far as, you know, anybody can buy this car. And it feels about what I would expect it to feel like, quite honestly. I'd say the power is the biggest surprise. It's peppy. It has a power plant that actually you can have fun with and play with and use the power. So it's a well done sporty version of this car. And the crossover market is super competitive. There are millions of different crossovers out there, so many different ones to choose from. So, you know, there's a lot of competition. But it's cool. This platform, you know, you see from the same Chrysler group and everything, there's the Alfa Romeo version and the Maserati version, which you can tell they all look very similar. They have a very similar design element and layout. Of course, the Maserati is going to be even nicer with genuine leather and stuff like that. The Alfa will be kind of in the middle, and this one's the cheaper version. When I was coming into this, I was expecting this to just be another crossover. There are so many, you know, you kind of get bored with all the crossovers that they come out with these days. So to see them add just a little bit of a fun factor to it, I think that is something worth taking a look at. But that is then it for the 2023 Dodge Hornet GT Plus. Nice interior on this too, so it's a pretty good place to be for a good price. Big shout out and thank you once again to Feeney, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. Check them out. Have them linked down below. They have a huge selection of new vehicles, so definitely take a look. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you all in the next video.